dragons, politics, incest. The last one is well liked by every Crusader Kings
users.
Degenerates like you belong on a cross.
My name is Exhale, and in this episode we are diving into the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, exploring some of the most brutal characters you probably didn't know about. These are the starts that can turn your campaign into a true Game of Thrones story. Number 1. The Tattered Prince, 284 after the conquest. Born around 238 or 239 after the conquest, the man who would become the Tattered Prince has one of the most unusual origin stories in A Song of Ice and Fire. In 262 after the conquest, at just 33 years old, the Magisters of Pentos selected him to become their new prince, literally hours after executing the previous one. That alone tells you everything about how unstable and dangerous that position is. The Prince of Pentos isn't a ruler, it's a sacrificial puppet, and instead of accepting what would have been a life on borrowed time, he made a bold, defining decision. He fled. He abandoned power, safety, and prestige, escaping into the chaos of the disputed lands, and he never returned. But he never stopped longing for Pentos. Around 270 after the conquest, he founded the Windblown alongside 5 loyal brothers in arms. The Windblown are a formidable mercenary company, about 2,000 mounted and foot soldiers, and they are known for discipline, professionalism, and a certain level of cunning that reflects their leader. You're not just playing a warrior, you are playing a strategist and a survivor. What makes the Windblown especially interesting are the characters around him. His right hand is Kago Corpsekiller, a brutal, feared Dothraki fighter, while his left hand is Denzo Dan, a warrior poet, which adds a really cool contrast in tone. This isn't just a band of sellswords, it's a tight-knit, almost theatrical group of personalities. But of course, no good story is complete without enemies. The Windblown have a long-standing rivalry with the Company of the Cat, led by the infamous Bloodbeard. And Bloodbeard absolutely despises the Tattered Prince. He openly mocks him and his men as old greybeards in rags. Lore fans will also recognize the Tattered Prince from his interactions with Quentyn Martell. During Quentyn's doomed mission in Essos, the Tattered Prince plays a key role, offering assistance but always with his own ambitions in mind. He is not loyal, not honorable in the traditional sense, he is pragmatic. Everything is a transaction. Even Tyrion Lannister takes note of him, describing him as elegant, an unusual word for a mercenary commander and one that really captures the essence of the character. Beneath the rags and exile, there is refinement, intelligence, and ambition. You start as an exile with a powerful company surrounded by enemies, but with a clear, long-term goal: reclaim Pentos. Number 2. Roger Reyne, 258 after the conquest. Roger Reyne, better known as the Red Lion, is an absolutely incredible character. Roger Reyne earned his nickname the Red Lion for a reason. He became Lord of Castamere in 233 after the conquest, after his father, Robert Reyne, died during the Peak Uprising. From the very beginning, Roger showed a ruthless streak, reportedly executing 7 captive members of House Peak at Starpike before being stopped by Prince Aegon Targaryen. That moment alone tells you what kind of ruler you are dealing with. But Roger's story isn't just about war, it's deeply tied to the political web of the Westernlands. His sister, Elyn Reyne, was married to Theon Lannister, heir to Casterly Rock. For a time, the Reynes were closely aligned with House Lannister, but after Theon's death, that relationship began to fracture. Lord Gerald Lannister turned his attention to grooming his younger son, Tytos Lannister, pushing the Reynes further to the side. Ellyn was eventually remarried to Valderan Tarbek, tying the Reynes to another powerful and rebellious house. Tensions only grew from there. At a feast in the Western Lands announcing the betrothal of Jenna Lannister and Aemon Frey, Ellyn openly mocked the match. Roger, however, didn't laugh. He stormed out in anger. That moment captures the simmering resentment perfectly. The Reynes didn't see themselves as lesser than the Lannisters. Their claws were as long and sharp as theirs. And then came the breaking point. In 261 after the conquest, after years of rising tension, the Reynes and their allies, House Tarbek, rose in rebellion against their liege lord. But they made a critical mistake, underestimating a young Tywin Lannister. Determined to restore Lannister dominance, Tywin moved swiftly and brutally. He annihilated the Tarbeks before Roger could even arrive to support them. When Roger finally engaged Tywin's forces, the Reynes were outnumbered and caught off guard. Their charge failed. Roger himself was struck by a crossbow bolt, leaving him feverish and unable to lead effectively. His brother Reynard took command and retreated back to Castamere, seeking refuge in the mines beneath their castle. And this is where the story becomes legend. Rather than storm the stronghold, Tywin chose something far more ruthless. He diverted a nearby stream into the mines of Castamere, flooding them completely. But now the Reynes weep over his home with no one there to hear. Playing Roger Reyne is all about changing that fate. You're stepping into the shoes of a proud lord at the height of his power, and if you play it right, the Reynes of Castamere might never need to be sung. Number 3. Lysono Rogare, 106 after the conquest. To understand Lysono, you really have to understand the legacy of his family, especially his son Lysandro Rogare, known as Lysandro the Magnificent. House Rogare wasn't just powerful, they were insanely wealthy. Lysandro was a magister of Lys and the head of the Rogare Bank, which for a time rivaled and arguably surpassed the Iron Bank of Bravos in influence. Their rise to power is deeply tied to one of the most chaotic periods in Targaryen history, the Dance of the Dragons. After the battle in the Gullet, Prince Viserys Targaryen was captured by Sharako Lohar. He sold him to Bambaro Bazaine. After the death of Bambaro, the captive Prince Viserys Targaryen passed into the hands of Lysandro. At first, Lysandro considered using the boy for less noble purposes due to his Valyrian locks, but everything changed when Viserys revealed who he truly was. Instead of exploiting him, Lysandro made a masterstroke. He married Viserys to his youngest daughter, Lara Rogare. This single decision tied House Rogare directly to the Targaryen dynasty. Through Lara, the Rogares became ancestors of future kings, including Aegon IV, as well as Prince Aemon and Queen Nerys. That means the royal Targaryen bloodline going forward is directly connected to this Lyseni banking family. At the height of his power, Lysandro styled himself First Magister for life, fully embracing the title the Magnificent. His influence stretched across Essos and into Westeros. His brother, Drazenko Rogare, even became the consort of Alliandre Martell, tying the family into Dornish politics as well. And the Rogares didn't just rely on gold, they had muscle too. Lara Rogare's personal protector was Sandog the Shadow, a legendary former pit fighter and a surprisingly skilled musician. But like so many powerful houses in A Song of Ice and Fire, their rise was matched by a dramatic fall. Lysandro and his brother Drazenko both died within a single day of each other, a catastrophic blow to the family's leadership. Without them, the Rogare power structure began to collapse, both in Lys and in the Seven Kingdoms. Their financial empire crumbled, their political alliances weakened, and their enemies quickly took advantage. Playing as Lysono Rogare puts you at the foundation of all this. You're not just building a house, you are setting the stage for one of the most influential bloodlines in Westeros. It's a campaign about legacy because even when House Rogare falls, its blood lives on the Iron Throne itself. Number 4. Drennan Salt, 82 after the conquest. You begin as House Salt, a minor Ironborn house, but what makes them special is their claim descent from the legendary House Hall. And this isn't just any bloodline. The Halls were kings, true kings of both the Iron Islands and the Riverlands. They were known as the Black Blood, a name tied to their brutal rule and Ironborn traditions. Originally from the Iron Islands, House Hall rose to incredible power over generations. Under King Harwin Hardhand, the third son of Corwin the Cunning, the Ironborn invaded the Riverlands and defeated the Storm King Arek Durandon at Fairmarket. From there, Harwin and his descendants ruled as King of the Isles and Rivers, a rare union of two very different regions under Ironborn control. That legacy culminates with Harren the Black, one of the most infamous rulers in Westerosi history. Harren ordered the construction of Harrenhal, the largest and most formidable castle ever built in the Seven Kingdoms. It took 40 years to complete, and in a twist of fate, it was finished the very same day Aegon I landed in Westeros. When Aegon began his conquest, the Riverlands rose in rebellion and joined him. But Harren refused to yield. He believed Harrenhal was unbreakable. He was wrong. Aegon flew above the castle on Balerion and unleashed dragonfire, burning Harren, his sons, and the entire Horde line alive within their own fortress. Just like that, one of the greatest dynasties in Westeros was wiped out. Well, almost. Harren's brother, who was serving as Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, stayed true to his vows and did nothing as his house was destroyed. Meanwhile, the Iron Islands fell into chaos. Pretenders rose up like Corin Volmark, who claimed the Black Line through a female branch, but he was quickly put down by Aegon. Later, another figure, Harren the Red, claimed to be a grandson of Harren the Black and even briefly seized Harrenhal before being killed by Burner Brune. Even generations later, the claim never truly died. During the instability following the death of Dalton Greyjoy, a pretender named Sam Salt rose with support from Great Vic, again claiming descent from House Hall. As Drennan Salt, you are stepping into the shoes of a house clinging to one of the most legendary and tragic claims in Westeros. You are not powerful, you are not secure, but you have something arguably more important. A story and a claim that, if proven, could shake the Iron Islands to their core. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to see more content from me.
Why don't you explain this to me like I am an 8-year-old?
Click. That's it.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
Number 5. Annara Dayne, 284 after the conquest. Annara comes from a lesser branch of the legendary House Dayne of Starfall. What makes this start especially interesting is her grandson, Gerald Dayne, better known as Darkstar. Darkstar is one of the most dangerous and controversial figures in Dorne. He is described as incredibly handsome and skilled, but beneath that lies something much darker. He has a cruel personality, angry eyes, and a deep resentment toward his more famous cousin, Arthur Dayne. that jealousy defines a lot of who he is. He's constantly living in the shadow of a legend he can never match. At one point, Darkstar even becomes one of the lovers of Ariane Martel, tying him directly into the politics of Dorne. When Ariane plots to crown Myrcella Baratheon as queen, Darkstar joins her cause. It's a bold and dangerous move, but the plan falls apart at the Greenblood when they are confronted by Areo Hotah. Outnumbered, Darkstar agrees to surrender, but chaos erupts when Sir Aerys Oakheart charges to his death. And in that chaos, Darkstar shows his true nature. He attempts to kill Myrcella, he doesn't succeed, but he does manage to slash off her ear and permanently scar her face before escaping into the deserts of Dorne. It's one of the most shocking moments tied to his character, and it instantly turns him into a haunted man. Myrcella survives thanks to the efforts of Maester Kaliat. Under Ariane's guidance, Myrcella blames Darkstar for the attack, and the fallout begins immediately. Doran Martell sends Obarasend alongside Sir Balon Swan to hunt him down at High Hermitage. Even Ariane herself comes to regret trusting him. While traveling, she reflects on how she ignored the darker rumors about Darkstar simply because of his appearance. Both she and Daemon Sand agree he should have died long ago. And that's what makes this start so interesting. Playing as Annara Dayne isn't just about building up a minor house, it's about shaping the legacy of one of the most infamous men in Dorne. Number 6. Ezelio Sellos, 170 after the conquest. Ezelio himself isn't the most famous name, but his bloodline absolutely is. His daughter, Serene of Lys, known as Sweet Serene, would go on to become the 9th and final mistress of Aegon IV. His court was full of scandal, excess and ambition, and Serene stood out even among that. She was widely considered the most beautiful of all his mistresses, but her personality made her even more intriguing. Serene was cold, distant, and almost untouchable at court, carrying herself with a kind of quiet superiority. She wasn't just another favorite, she felt different, almost otherworldly. She was brought to King's Landing by Jon Hightower, and almost immediately rumors began to spread. People whispered that Serene was far older than she appeared, that she used dark arts to preserve her beauty. Whether that's true or not is left ambiguous, but in a world like a Song of Ice and Fire, those kinds of rumors don't come from nowhere. Her story ends tragically, but also sets the stage for something even bigger. Serene died giving birth to her daughter, Shiera Seastar, one of the most legendary and mysterious women in Westeros. Shiera inherited her mother's beauty and then some. She was known across Westeros as a seductress and enchantress. What makes her even more iconic is her appearance. She had two mismatched eyes, one deep blue, the other bright green. But instead of diminishing her beauty, it made her even more captivating. Like her mother, Shiera was rumored to dabble in dark arts. She was highly intelligent, a voracious reader, and someone who seemed to understand how to manipulate those around her perfectly. She never married, but that didn't stop her from becoming the center of attention for some of the most powerful men in Westeros. Most notably, her half-brothers Bryden Rivers and Aegon Rivers both desired her. Bloodraven in particular was completely obsessed. He proposed marriage to her multiple times. She always refused, but still took him as a lover, seemingly amused by his jealousy. Meanwhile, Bittersteel's own feelings for her only fueled the already intense hatred between the two men. That rivalry, centered in part around Shiera, would go on to shape major conflicts in Westerosi history. Number 7. Edgar Yronwood, 236 after the conquest. House Yronwood is no minor player. They are widely considered the second most powerful house in Dorne, just behind the ruling House Martell. Their seat at Yronwood guards the Boneway, one of the main passes into Dorne, giving them both strategic and symbolic importance. And unlike many houses, the Yronwoods never forgot what they once were. Their lord still carries the title Blood Royal, a reminder that they were kings before Nymeria's conquest. That pride runs deep and it shapes everything around them. Their history is filled with conflict. One of their oldest rivalries is with House Fowler, dating all the way back to Nymeria's war. During that war, the Blood Royal Yorick Yronwood actually killed Mors Martell, Nymeria's husband. But despite years of resistance, Yorick was eventually forced to bend the knee and was sent to the wall, marking the end of Yronwood independence. During the Dance of the Dragons, Sir Giles Yronwood fought for Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen. He was one of the 7 who rode, sent to rescue Joffrey Velaryon during the storming of the Dragon Pit. But he died in the attempt. And then come the Blackfyre Rebellions. The Yronwoods repeatedly sided against both the Targaryens and the Martells, backing Aegon Rivers in 3 of the 5 rebellions. By the time of the 4th rebellion, Edgar Yronwood himself joins the cause, once again placing his house on the losing side of history. Edgar himself is exactly what you would expect from a Blood Royal. He's a massive, intimidating man with a fierce reputation and a notoriously short temper. His story ties directly into one of the most famous characters in Dorne, Oberyn Martell. When Oberyn was just 16, he was discovered in the bed with Edgar's mistress. That led to a duel, meant to be first blood, but Edgar's wound became infected and he died soon after. Rumors spread that Oberyn had poisoned his blade, which is what earned him the nickname the Red Viper. Oberyn was forced into exile in the Free Cities as a result. The aftermath of that event shaped relations between the two houses for years. To repay what was seen as a blood debt, Doran Martell later sent his son Quentyn Martell to be fostered with the Yronwoods. Quentyn grew up there, even choosing to be knighted by Lord Anders Yronwood instead of his own uncle Oberyn. He also fell in love with Inys Yronwood, though that love was never returned. When you play Edgar Yronwood, you are stepping into a house that is proud and constantly at the losing side. Number 8. Visario Ryndoon, 106 after the conquest. The real star of this campaign is his son Racalio Ryndoon. He is described as a towering giant, 6.5 feet tall and larger than life in every possible way. But instead of being a typical fearsome pirate or warlord, Racalio is wildly eccentric. He bathes in lavender and rosewater, loves sweet scents, and at times even dresses as a woman, pretending to be a whore. It's such a strange contrast that it makes him instantly memorable. But don't mistake that eccentricity for weakness. Racalio is also a glutton, a drunk and notoriously foul-mouthed, but at the same time he's incredibly generous. He hands out plunder to his men freely and even gives coins to beggars. And then there is his actual impact on history. During the war for the Stepstones, Prince Daemon Targaryen carved out a kingdom in the Stepstones, defeating the forces of the Triarchy and even slaying Kragas Drahar, the crab feeder. But the war didn't end there. Racalio would lead a renewed invasion force from the Triarchy, pushing back against Daemon's control alongside new allies, including Dorne. This puts him directly at the center of one of the most chaotic naval conflicts in the history. Things only get more unstable after the death of Sharako Lohar in 131 after the conquest, which causes the Triarchy to collapse into internal war. In the middle of that chaos, Racalio is sent to claim the Stepstones for Tyrosh, but instead, after killing the so-called King of the Narrow Sea, he decides to keep the islands for himself. Even the great houses of Westeros struggle to deal with him. Unwin Peak sends Gedmund Peak Ned Bean and Alyn Velaryon to try and restore order in the Narrow Sea. Alyn disobeys the orders by leading the Velaryon ships south, but their efforts fall apart, leaving Rakallio in an even stronger position. He is even suspected of being involved in the assassination of Lysono Rogare and his brother Drazenko, possibly through the Faceless Man. Shortly after, Rakallio vanishes from the history. And with that, the stories end. A huge shout out to the creators, the modders behind the Game of Thrones mod for CK3. You guys absolutely rock. Seriously, it's insane, the level of detail, the characters, the world. It's honestly mind-blowing what's been put into this. I will leave a link to the mod down in the description, so make sure to check it out. And to quote someone, the best Game of Thrones game is a mod. I hope you enjoyed the video. Who was your favorite character? And who did I miss out? Let me know down in the comments. And if you want to see more Game of Thrones content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for your time and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time in